Frodo drew the ring out of his pocket again and looked at it. It now appeared plain and smooth, without mark or device that he could see. The gold looked very fair and pure, and Frodo thought how rich and beautiful was its colour, how perfect was its roundness. It was an admirable thing, and altogether precious.
Why was the One Ring forged by Sauron made of gold? This question was sent to me, and while it may seem like a strange question to ask, it is one that can be answered through Tolkien's writings beyond The Lord of the Rings. In other videos related to the One Ring, I have covered the connection between the Great Rings and immortality, why Mount Doom was the place where the One Ring could be destroyed, and why Sauron's Master Ring used Elvish script. In this video, I will explain Sauron's choice of material, and why he did not use silver, or that precious metal he is said to covet and hoard, Mithril. Let's first talk about Sauron's relationship with Mithril. According to Gandalf, it was a material that could be beaten like copper, polished like glass, and those with skill, such as the dwarves, could make of it a metal light and yet harder than tempered steel. Unlike common silver, Mithril did not tarnish or grow dim. It was both rare and priceless. And Sauron was not above admiring such a thing. We are told in the Treason of Isengard that Mithril is now nearly all lost. Orcs plunder it and pay tribute to Sauron, who is collecting it. We don't know why, for some secret purpose of his weapons, not for beauty. It is quite fitting that a craftsman like Sauron would want to use this material, and fitting that he would not admire it for its beauty, but for its benefits in warfare. A note from Christopher Tolkien says that another draft puts it more plainly, that Sauron was using Mithril in the making of weapons of war. Elves would use Mithril to make Ithildin, Starmoon, as seen upon the doors of Durin. Reflected by the light of the moon and stars, one of the great works of craftsmanship we witness in The Lord of the Rings. But Sauron would not use it for such displays of beauty. It could have been avarice, as Sauron even saw the extreme greed of the dwarves when they used the great rings they had been gifted, as some benefit to them, rather than the curse that it was. He is the type who would understand the strength of Mithril and its rarity, seeing himself as the one worthy of it. Others desired it, so only he should have it. Throughout all of Tolkien's works, greed is emphasized as one of the greatest flaws, marring the world itself. The relationship of dwarves to gold is well known, with mountains of gold and dragon sickness, the selfishness and greed of dragons suffered by others, hoarding treasure beyond count, for no real purpose or reason, beyond it apparently belonging to that individual, willing to kill to keep it. But men too have a strange relationship with gold. Ar-Pharazôn the Golden was the last king of Numenor, with his name in the elven tongue being Tar-Kalion, meaning shining or brilliant. But gold became more associated with displays of power and dominance in the time of kings like Ar-Pharazôn. Sails would gleam with red and gold, causing fear to fall upon men of Middle-earth who witnessed them coming out of the sunset. Great tombs of dead kings on Numenor would be adorned with gold, unseen by most living eyes. Gold in almost all cases falls into the realm of greed. It seems to never have any real purpose beyond just the admiration of it for what it is. Unlike Mithril, which is said to have everyone desiring it, but not only for its beauty, for all its uses and its rarity. It has purpose and is not intrinsically evil. The mithril coat worn by Frodo, saving his life in Moria, protecting him from danger, while the gold ring he carries leads him towards it. So if Mithril is so useful and so desired by Sauron, why did he forge his great ring of power using gold? The answer lies in Morgoth, like all evil things. Tolkien says that all gold in Middle-earth seems to have had a specially evil trend, but not silver. As I explain in my video, What is Morgoth's Ring? All of Arda was tainted in some way by the essence of Morgoth when he disseminated his power into the flesh of Arda itself in order to control it and those within it, with some materials being corrupted to far greater levels than others, gold being something disproportionately corrupted, while water is described as almost free of his influence, explaining his desire to corrupt those who hold sway over the waters, explaining the echo of the music of the Ainur living in the waters of the world, and explaining the elves' affinity towards it. Water is represented as being almost entirely free of Morgoth. This, of course, does not mean that any particular sea, stream, river, well, or even vessel of water could not be poisoned or defiled, as all things could. Tolkien says that Sauron's power was not in gold as such, but in a particular form or shape, made of a particular portion of total gold. Morgoth's power being placed throughout gold. It wasn't absolute, as Melkor did not create gold, but it was nowhere absent. This Morgoth element in matter was a prerequisite for the magic and other evils that Sauron practiced, with it and upon it, the One Ring being his greatest achievement. Gold seems to have an intrinsic fault, something that sets it above that flaw of greed that is kindled in the hearts of people when it comes to other precious substances of the earth. It was tainted to a great degree by the evil force who tainted Arda itself, and even Sauron was not free of its influence. It was necessary for him to accomplish his designs, and I speculate that it played a great part in dragons' love for gold, being creatures of Morgoth's will. Therefore, the ring is not silver, mithril, or any other material. It would be nothing other than gold. It was a conscious decision made by Sauron, the same reason he chose Mordor as his dwelling, to be closer to the remnants of his great master, to make use of Morgoth's elemental power that had been removed from his being and sent gushing into the fabric of the world itself. Sauron using the subterranean undying fires beneath Mount Doom, alongside the tainted substance of gold, to forge his object of pure corruption and domination. I have other videos on the One Ring planned, but if you have any questions about Sauron's Master Ring, or the Rings of Power in general, I'm more than happy to hear them, and they may just make it into a video. Some of your suggestions from earlier videos are also on the list. Thanks for sending this question, and to everyone who watched the video. If you are new to the channel and enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing.